No matter how far virtual reality advances, it will never compare to the shock of the body's 5 senses. God, this game is so loud. Jesus Christ, it's so loud. Give me a second. I'm gonna have to turn it down a little, I'm sorry. Otherwise my ears will be blown away by the end of this session. Suddenly, all 5 of the audience's senses were struck by an ear-splitting roar. Yeah, I got that too. That rumbled down to the pit of their stomachs, as well as other sensations like the smell of iron and oil mixed together. Just now, 5 shiny silver fighter planes passed right over us, dancing through the sky above the International Battle Standard Festival of the Peace at Gifu Stadium. Flying at ahead was this year's host, Japan of the Arctic Ocean Union. On either side were fighters from the Europe-Middle East Alliance, the Central Ocean Union, the Africa Commonwealth Realm, and the... Oh, what happened? Is it my controller? Oh yeah, it's my fucking controller. Give me a second. Oh, Jesus Christ. Sorry, I accidentally pressed the button apparently. But now I know that the controller works for this. Great. The Africa Commonwealth Realm and the Latin American Treaty Organization. Why can't I play this game without fucking up in the beginning, by the way? That was a joint flight of fighters from the 5 great factions. Just magnificent. What a fitting ceremony for the Battle Standard Festival of Peace. These warriors of peace have honed their skills day and night to defend peace on this planet, and the crowd can't get enough of them. Let there be eternal peace in this world. And thank you, warriors of peace, for supporting the walls of peace from both sides yet again today. Ooh, the walls of peace will surely crumble if not supported from both sides. James F. Kennedy. Now the question is, did Mr. Kennedy, the real one, say something similar? And I just don't know the quote, or is this like a made-up one? This is what we call Doben X Barrel, or sometimes Kennedy's powder keg. After saying this, the instructor wrote Kennedy's powder keg on the electronic blackboard behind him, and an illustration that resembled a keg appeared. Both the letters and the illustration were drawn very poorly, and the students all giggled. Or was it Ryokishi himself? The instructor was teaching while walking amongst the students' seats, his hands clasped behind him. Though the blackboard was far away from him, he was directly drawing and writing on it. What? Okay, future tech, I guess. He was using a brainwave input device, also called a mental tablet. You know, if I could draw with my brain directly, I'd like to think that I could draw some pretty pictures, because it's my hands that are fucked up, not my brain. Oh no, it's actually also my brain, but yeah, whatever. Once, we needed hands to manipulate writing tools, keyboards and equipment needed to leave records. However, humanity in this world had gained the ability to not only write letters, but even draw pictures without using their hands. However, no matter the device, only the young can use it to full capacity when it's brand new. Okay, because of a special reason or just because they're adapting better? So the aged instructor still wasn't used to it, leading to these rough letters and drawings that didn't suit his high upbringing and education at all. Why use it in the first place then? As you can see, the keg is a cylindrical container made of several boards bound together. Since my drawing is so pathetic, I ask that all of you who lack an imagination do an image search. If you can have a tablet in your brain, then of course you can have a display there too. Damn, these guys are cyborgs. Some of the more serious students did a serious search for the word keg, which was displayed as an image inside their brains. Do they seriously not know what a keg looks like though? Are these... how old are they? 5? Those less serious were using their mental displays to watch TV, play games or else chat with their friends in virtual rooms. I can't wait for the future to come, by the way. Robot waifus? Mental tablets? Sign me right up! Nearby people had no way of telling what someone was looking at in their mental display. Also, if you wanted to chat with your friends, there was no need to move your mouth. Or maybe it's not that good at all. Maybe it's just... I think we would be wasting away if there was no need anymore to move your body. You could just get everything you wanted, just by thinking it. Damn. I mean, I wouldn't move at all anymore. You could use mental transmissions to talk without speaking. And so, both the serious and non-serious students gave birth to an ideal environment for themselves. Kennedy's powder keg represents the gunpowder of conflict, sealed in a container where the military efforts of each individual country formed the boards. Then a red line was drawn on the picture of the keg on the blackboard, and one of the boards was removed, leaving a gap. However, what if just one board was short and left a gap? Naturally, everything inside the keg would pour out. It depends on whether the gap is on top or at the bottom, right? So if you have it on top, only a bit of it would pour out? Kennedy's powder keg tells us that even if a single country fails in its military efforts for the sake of peace, the gunpowder of conflict will pour out from there and explode. Yeah, we need to keep each other in check, I guess. Once, military power had been necessary to protect the safety of one's nation. In every nation, in every era, young people who take on the responsibility of protecting their country have been praised for their patriotism and service to the state. They're like white blood cells in the human body, and no one ever finds anything odd about praising them. However, after massive losses caused by 2 world wars and a Cold War brought about by nuclear weapons, and particularly after the advancement of data storage techniques that allow the inhumanities of war to be seen far and wide over and over again, man, that's a little bit too realistic for my Ryokishi game. Some of humanity had developed what might be called a war allergy. Then, when the Great Depression at the end of the 21st century kicked off a fierce economic downturn, people in countries around the world started talking seriously about reducing military spending. Now that's something I don't think will ever happen in real life, except if we reach some singularity in technical advancements. Taking advantage of that, pacifists began a major global campaign. That movement received an international tailwind, gaining heavy support from people across the world. Oh, sorry. That's what happens when I fiddle around with my controller while reading. Gaining heavy support from people across the world, made poor by a social security system that had been crushed by the Depression. Certain politicians played to the masses and rode this tailwind, building up bases of support all over the planet. Umpi Num something. They spoke pleasant sounding words of world peace and love for all humanity, leading the charge for unilateral disarmament in certain countries and earning wide acclaim. All over the world, videos were shared of soldiers returning their medals and leaving the army, claiming that being a soldier was a shameful way to serve one's country. Now this is a common trope that has been picked up in pop culture and media a lot of times. I recently saw an old Simpsons episode, and I think it was a Halloween one, where Lisa, I think it was the one with the monkey's paw, right? And Lisa wished for peace on Earth, and humanity got rid of the weapons, all of them. I think it happened more than once in Simpsons though. Anyway, and then the aliens just came and tried to enslave them. And someone wished for a board with nails or something, and this was enough to drive the aliens away. It doesn't work. You need, as sad as it sounds, you need weaponry, since you can't make everyone behave without weapons. There are people that are just inherently stronger, that could possibly kill with their hands alone. So you need to have some power over them by equalizing each other in a way. Death is the great equalizer, right? And even a baby can kill someone with a pistol. It's sad, but we might need it. Anyway, the first few who started this boom were praised by the press, and many clamored to have them nominated for the Bernhard Peace Prize. Oh, okay. I guess it's the Nobel Peace Prize, right? The whole world praised this as a beautiful story, one that would encourage all who suffered under the Great Depression. Every day the news told stories of countless soldiers leaving armies as an act of self-criticism against the military, to the applause of the people. It's the media at work, isn't it? And it delighted in showing stories of tanks and fighter jets being scrapped, giving the numbers for how much that had saved in construction and maintenance costs, and comparing that to how many babies could be fed with the same funds. It sounds pretty good. It was a global disarmament boom. If all neighboring countries had reduced their militaries at the same time, this would have been a wonderful thing. However, as the prisoner's dilemma suggests, strategies that baselessly assume that your partner will act with benevolence are less than ideal in affairs between nations. Yeah, this too. We would all need to be equal for this to work, and that will never happen, no matter how much people try. People are not equal. we're all different. This resulted in an extremely tilted military balance across several national borders around the world. At the time, national leaders who disarmed unilaterally were lauded as pioneers of world peace and given several international awards. However, these fucking awards won't keep your country safe, will they? If you get invaded, there's nothing left to do. You can't throw your fucking awards at the enemy. However, in the current A3W era, I guess A3 war or something, their reputation had done a 180. They were condemned for abandoning the support of the walls of peace that separated countries, and accused of the sin of negligence in their duties towards world peace. Yeah, just let the others do it. We'll use the money we save on our babies, but we don't need to keep up world peace, so if the others do it, I can see why other nations would be pissed. Provide a deterrent to arms races and security dilemmas, while enshrouding the gunpowder of war by maintaining a suitable military balance between all countries. This is the philosophy of the IPMA, the International Peace Mediation Association. And it is how a healthy military balance preserves world peace. World War III had several causes, but some liken it to a human body, where nutrient imbalance had triggered a great illness. Who was fighting World War III? I would be really interested to see what happened in this world, basically, and if it's any similar to what could happen in our world. That led to the concept of world peace preserved by a healthy military balance. For example, Japan once polished rice because it tasted better than that way, which led to vitamin deficiency and a disease called beriberi. They removed the bad-tasting bran, but they didn't realize that it contained vital nutrients. Okay, I didn't know that. That's a little... I mean, it's not really a fun fact, but it's a little factoid. That bran was like military might. True, military might does have a violent and inhumane side to it. Any humanitarian would claim that it tasted bad. However, when they polished it off and threw it away, it resulted in a fatal nutrient deficiency for certain nations. Here we go. When military might only exists on some sides and not on others, it's easy to enter an irreversible situation. It was like trying to climb a mountain without a safety line. You'll be fine as long as nothing happens, but if something unexpected occurs, there won't be anything left to support you. One of World War III's other causes, populism, oh yeah, I can see that one, led to increasing friction between neighboring countries and placed a lot of pressure on border regions. That wouldn't have been a problem if those borders, those walls of peace, had been supported on both sides. However, whenever one side refused to support these walls, is one too much there, they fell over easily, inviting a situation that couldn't be undone. Military might is an element that tastes bitter to humanity. We have chosen to view it as a mineral, a micronutrient necessary for the body to function. I like the whole food analogy here, by the way. Very nice. Even I can understand that. Everyone knows that if you pile up zinc and iron and manganese on a table and eat it, it'll be harmful to your health. Manganese? However, these are essential nutrients that you can't afford to be deprived of, and you need to continue ingesting them in suitable quantities. In the same way, a nation's military might needs to be maintained to a suitable degree to bring about healthy relationships between countries. Or so they say. As a result, military might was viewed in a different light in the A3W era, as a micronutrient for nations. I guess it's after the Third World War, right? That's the A, is after, so it's post-World War III. The tendency to think of soldiers as murderers and enemies of peace was done away with. After all, soldiers of your country were fundamentally war buddies, even the soldiers in neighboring countries, as they all worked together to support the walls of peace. The social rank of soldiers rose, and the world became one in which children didn't hesitate to say they wanted to become soldiers when they grew up. So by trying to get rid of military, it actually gave the military a big fucking boost. That's an interesting thing. Soldiers no longer existed for the purpose of defeating their opponents. They were redefined as servants of international peace, kinda like a police force, I guess, like military police, who protected not only their own country, but also their country's neighbors. So everyone is in it for everyone else. I'm not sure that would work. in real life. They supported the walls between countries, preparing for unexpected situations in nearby nations that even those nations wouldn't have wanted, and preventing them from developing into something irreversible. What about terrorism, you know? Even the closest spouses and friends fight sometimes. Soldiers who supported the walls of peace were like cushions wedged in the middle of fights like that, preventing a fatal situation from developing so that everyone could laugh it off and forgive each other in the end. Oh, a new character. Okay, it's Tojiru. Humans really are crazy, huh? Holy hell, that's Sesha. That's Sesha. Okay, think so? Two people who looked very different from those students watched this lecture through their mental display. They seemed to be amusing themselves with it rather than attending it. I can't concentrate anymore. I mean, whenever organisms gather together, it's to increase their chances at survival, right? Oh, fuck. Stop fiddling around with your stick while reading, Lambda. God, it's not a euphemism. In other words, they gain enough military might to protect themselves against outward foes. Isn't rejecting something like that basically sacrilege against the miracle of life on this planet? Is this her fucking underwear you can see? Oh god, YouTube, don't ban me. It's just a bikini. No. I wasn't trying to criticize people for praising strong militaries. Oh, you weren't? Then what are you trying to say? When did Ryokishi get so good at drawing bodies anyway? His hands are still horrible, but everything else looks really good, actually. I dig the art style, to be honest. I mean, I played Umineko with the PS3 patch, because that's... I'll be honest, I like these sprites more than the old ones, but I don't know, maybe it's what you start with, you know? And the sprites right now in Ciconia, actually pretty cool. I like the coloring especially. I don't care if you criticize or praise militaries. As you said, Grandmaster, military power is a natural right if you have as a life form to increase the odds of your survival. And it's also a natural obligation you have for the sake of protecting your descendants who cannot protect themselves. But at the same time, it's also a double-edged sword that can hurt both you and your neighbors. So, when you criticize it or worship it, you should always continue debating and searching for a better way to exist. That's a very sensible approach. I like this Tojiro guy. So, what's most important is having people debate all the time? Isn't debate just the means you use to reach an end? No, you have to keep the debate going because there's no perfect solution for nothing. It doesn't exist. There's no perfect way to live. I doubt you can guide the common man if your means become your ends. True, debate can easily lead to wasting time. It's not a great idea to gradually work out a solution when you've got an urgent and pressing issue to deal with. I'm just trying to explain how unpleasant these extreme changes are, and how it's just as unpleasant when nothing changes at all. Right up until World War III, military might was viewed as evil. The culture was such that every politician, philosopher, musician and artist went on and on about love and peace, and how they needed to throw away their weapons because militaries were the shame of humanity. It was a world where even whispering about the need for military power on social media would be enough to get someone accused of blasphemy against peace and socially murdered. Wow. I really wonder where Ryokishi is going with the story, to be honest. I'm sure it's not a pro-war story, but he has to turn this around somewhere. However, even though humanity disliked military might, and that didn't mean they'd abandoned their dislike for other races. As a result, the door to World War III was opened not by militaries maintained by nations, but by selfish military actions by individual people with self-righteous ideals. And now that's totally flipped around, with everyone saying, "Long live the military, thank you troops, I'm gonna grow up to be a great soldier who protects his country in world peace." Hahaha, yeah, that is pretty extreme. Hilarious, in fact. Yeah, that's what I said before, right? It's the exact opposite. And now, if you imply that militaries are immoral in any way, the whole world will call it blasphemy against peace and ostracize you, which is crazy, since you'd think that peace and military are on different ends of the spectrum. But maybe it's not a line, maybe it's a circle, you know? Maybe it's a horseshoe, like with politics and the horseshoe theory, right? Where the extremists are more similar to each other than to anyone else. At first, it seems to be the exact opposite of what they did before, but they're basically doing the same thing. Differing opinions are aggressively silenced, and no one has the guts to actually discuss the issue. Every time the text gets this low, I get a little bit distracted, I gotta say. The mind of the masses is like a single bit of data. You mean it can only ever be 0 or 1? Yeah, that's it. Are you on the far right side or the far left? Ryokishi, where are you going? They can't see anything beside that. And because that's all their mind can hold, they aren't capable of debate, and they aren't receptive or clever enough to accept a position that's different from theirs. If you want to strengthen that one-bit person, then there's no choice but to train them, right? I'll bet the training would be pretty harsh for those one-bits. By training the one-bits, they must have meant the act of letting different opinions collide in debates. However, no matter which time period you look at, history doesn't record many people capable of tolerating differing opinions in the name of diversity. Yeah, it's hard to do. Whether it's religions, ideologies, or how you like your eggs cooked, the world is full of people incapable of accepting diversity. After all, even people who claim to be for diversity are unable to accept the existence of people who dispute that belief. Yeah, that's the real crux of it, isn't it? I accept every opinion except yours since you don't accept mine. That's the thing. And immediately you are basically the same thing you hate so much. It's crazy, but people don't understand that. Everyone thinks they're right? It's not at all an easy thing to do. People crowd together with those who share their own views, exterminating all opposing views. That's what debate means to humanity now, as it approaches the 10 billion person mark once again. Wow! How many got lost in World War III? It's been like this since before the time of Rome. Sometimes, kings urge the subjects to take part in debate. However, the one-bits never manage to count to anything but 0 or 1. Still, in my opinion, if you stop thinking and debating, you aren't even human anymore. You really are a warrior, aren't you? Very well, I shall grant you the title of 8-bit. Fuck, she's cute. You honor me, Grandmaster. I would ask what's so grand about her, but I can see her assets. The people can't do anything but advance in a direction that's been decided for them. Showing people where to go is what a king does. If you're waiting for the common man to gain enough intelligence to take part in debate, I'm afraid the sun will probably burn out first, right? Oh, his glasses are reflecting the light. He's serious now. Even so, I want to have faith in people. What if people didn't get kicked around by the consensus, going forward when they say forward, stopping when they say stop, and going left and right when they tell you to? What if everyone could have their own opinions, debate them together, and accept each other? It would be a perfect world. Hard to reach. And what if then you looked around and saw that everyone accepted everyone else, and that everyone was moving in the same direction? That can never happen since some people have a skewed worldview of what is acceptable and what isn't. Some people think it's acceptable to kill each other. And I don't think humanity as a whole could ever agree on that. Some people think it's acceptable to do unspeakable things to each other. They do it in the name of justice even, and that's just not right. So this could only work if we somehow lose a bit of our individuality, I think. But man, that's such a interesting and complex topic though, really. I hope a miracle like that will occur someday. It might not happen until the day before the sun burns out and the globe is covered with ice, but I believe we will make it in time. I don't know, what do you think? Listening right now, do you think we could ever reach that point? Drat, Mitsuguchi lost. Come on, isn't judo supposed to be Japan's specialty? Last year, a power harassment scandal threw the association into chaos. Guess this means I win. Several numbers appeared in the virtual space, and the numbers on Seshet's side decreased and were added to Tojiro's side. This time they were watching a broadcast of the International Battle Standard Festival of Peace. It was a celebration of peace where countless young people displayed the techniques and hard work they had built up for the sake of this day. However, to the middle-aged people casually gazing at it, it was merely something to compliment a drink or to bet on. She's middle-aged! She fucking... I hope she is. That would actually make it even better. Sorry. God, what is happening? Ah. It's a good game.